Hey, I'm Sophie and this is The Hardest Part.
Hello and welcome to The Hardest Part, the show that unravels the stories behind the most challenging songs ever written. I'm Kieron Banerji, and joining me in the studio on this episode is Sophie. Now, when I sat down and spoke to her to discuss her song Pirates, she opened up about the deeply personal journey behind its creation. The song marked a significant shift in her songwriting approach. Unlike her previous work, which often was more observational, this project, and particularly this song, felt much more sincere and autobiographical. She described how she decided to set aside her usual songwriting rules and fully embrace writing about her own life for a change. The song itself delves into the complexities of a friendship that's teetering on the edge of becoming something more. Make sure to stay tuned to hear Pirates in full at the end of this episode, but before that, here's my chat with Sophie.
Yeah, so the song that I've brought to the table today is called Pirates, and it's taken from a project called Another Day in Paradise that I'll be releasing early next year. And yeah, the reason why I've brought it today is because I feel like it's a song that kind of marked a period of my life that I was going through like quite a lot of like stuff emotionally, and I was trying to work it out via that song. And I think it also marked like a bit of a shift in my songwriting, and I guess we'll talk about it a bit more, like a project that feels so much more sincere and like that actually is a true story and something that really like happened to me, as opposed to my previous work, which has sort of been a bit more like observational and not necessarily like, I'm not saying it's not like my previous work isn't, I don't resonate with it, because I do, like there's a part of me in all of those songs, but this project and particularly this song, I just sort of decided to rip up my rule book a little bit and just think, oh, what happens if I actually write like fully about my own life for a change? Yeah. So yeah, it was a learning experience.
Okay, yeah. So I guess let's come on to sort of like the new creative process behind that in a moment. But I guess first, what's the song about?
So it's about like a friendship that is like turning into a relationship, but like almost you don't know whether you wanna like express it fully, that like you have feelings for that person that's like more than a friend. And yeah, I think it sort of marks like, when I was writing that song, I was sort of like figuring out my feelings for a person and trying to work out like what we should do with these feelings, because like it's a very emotionally charged song, and I think like at the core of it is that like the friendship and like you're always there for each other no matter what, and like whatever we decide to do with this situation, we'll still be fine as us, because we had like such a strong friendship foundation. It's sort of like knowing that like whatever the like turbulent period, like however it like ends up, that at the end of the day we'll still be tight.
Do you think some of like the fear there is like, and why probably it's so high stakes, is there's always in the back of your head that if this doesn't work out, maybe something will happen to the friendship?
Yeah, always. I think like that's always a factor in that sort of thing, and that's kind of what the whole project explores, is just that like meeting someone, realizing that you like maybe want more from them than just a friendship, but then not wanting to rock the boat, and like going through all of that, especially like someone who you're very, very close with, and like going through all of that spectrum, and then how it works out in the end. I'm not going to ruin the story because you have to listen to the mixtape.
Okay.
But yeah, it kind of, I feel like it's the first project that I've done, and I wrote it intentionally like that, is to just like tell a story from start to finish, because I feel like I've never really had a really big like special story to tell until this project. And I was like, hey, it just felt like when I was going through like so much change and like a lot of like stress and like guilt, and I don't know, when you have like complicated feelings for someone, it can, I don't know, just like take over your life. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right to be writing about, it just felt really insincere to be writing about anything else when I had like all these feelings going on in the background. And so I just thought maybe I'll just address them for once.
Call me, tell me, how was your day? Vauxhall Bridge to Cold Harbour Lane, where pirates sailing, graveyard shifts, boats and trains.
So let's go back to the creative process. You said it like changed the way you were writing songs from sort of there on out. What does that new process look like?
So now I mean, you can quote me on this in 5 years, and I do think that I will still stand by it. I enjoyed writing that project as a concept piece, like chronological, so much that I will never not do that again. So I think I'll always...
Happy to be held to it?
Yeah, I'll maybe not necessarily chronological, but I will always now, I think every other project that I do will have a concept that I'll explore, because I just found it so like creatively just fulfilling and amazing to just like sit down and know what I'm writing about and just like really force myself to address these feelings, because I don't really talk about my feelings that much, really, like to anyone. And I'm 27, like this is something that's new for me, like finally just and I've been writing songs for like 4 years. So like, but I feel as though there was always like an element of like sarcasm or like humor or whatever that I just used as a crutch before. And now, I don't know what happened. I was just like, it feels insincere to just like write that way now, I guess, because I've sort of like got all of the other like funny concepts that I had in my head, like I've turned them all into songs now, and I'm kind of like, wow, I need more material. I may as well just use my own emotions. And I do feel like that's sort of what my people have resonated the most with, songs that I've released before that have actually been about like a specific instance or like a specific scenario. For me, like I feel like they seem to connect best with audiences, and but that's not even like why I write music. Like I don't, like obviously I care how people react to it and I want people to love it, but don't really write for anyone apart from me anymore. Just like amazing. I just make what I want to make, and I think that's also like probably you can tell that a little bit from how even like sonically, like the music's kind of, I'm not going to say meandered, because that just makes it sound like it's not intentional or like it's not like a good thing, but I feel like my sound's definitely evolving, and it's changed quite a lot. A lot of it's based on like starting to play live for the first time and like having a band, and the fun of like, it's just so much more fun to play like an indie rock song on stage than like a chill indie pop song. I love like the energy of crowds and like seeing people jumping around and go mental. So like definitely I learned to play guitar as well, so like having that more as like a focus, and also like thinking about the music that I listen to, like that's changed quite a lot in the last few years. So just
as a result of the shift in how you're writing songs?
Yeah, I think so. Like I'm really listening to way more just like songwritery music now than I was before. Like I love CMAT, she's amazing. Like I think her writing's incredible and she's so smart. But also just like going back to the music that I really connected to when I was actually just like a child, and when I was growing up, like I used to love, and this is gonna out me as a Keen fan, but I love Keen.
Yeah.
Like that
There is
album.
no shame in being a Keen
Incredible
fan.
album. Like I love it so much. I don't know. It feels really just like of a moment in time captured, and like there, and like a lot of old Arctic Monkeys records like that as well. Like I mean, some of Alex Turner's concepts are a little bit like now, but
They've gone a little bit
they've
bizarre.
gone a little bit left. They've gone a little bit off piste, Alex. But respect to him. Like I love a concept album, and just like the way, I think it's a really like intelligent and cool way to write music. And obviously you might lose some fans doing that. You might gain some fans by doing that. But I think I'm always interested in, I'll be way more interested to listen to an album front to back if I'm like, oh, there's like a story to be told here.
Of course, yeah.
Let's listen to what it is. I love it when you listen to an album and you don't think about it like that, and then a few years later someone's like, oh, that's about that, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly, yeah, like just context changes everything.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I decided to change it up a little bit, and I am enjoying it very much. So
No looking back for now.
Yeah, no looking back.
Like, what were the biggest challenges when you first sort of flipped to this new style of songwriting? You know, obviously it's extremely personal now and emotionally charged. What were the original barriers there? Because it's gonna be pretty terrifying to put your heart in your sleeve like that for the first time, really, in such a blatant way.
Yeah, I think just the main issue that I actually had was condensing everything, because we would just found like we were writing so much, we were just like obviously like exploring the same concept or the same feeling in like various different songs, and then just like actually putting them all together into a project that made sense was quite challenging, because we had so much music. And also like I think when you're writing about like emotional stuff, like remembering to like go over the whole spectrum of it, and also like touch on like the lighter moments as well, because like I don't want a whole record of ballads like Pirates. Like I love Pirates, but just like trying to find ways to make that feeling suit like slightly different feelings of songs, to make sure you have like the whole spectrum of emotion there. That was quite challenging, but it was great. Like it was so much fun, and I think we nailed it.
It's interesting you say that, because like I was speaking to someone about this the other day, and I'm a sucker for a ballad.
Yeah.
The ballad is always my favourite track on every record. But when you have a whole album of ballads, it
maybe loses its impact a little bit.
It does, because like what an album that like very carefully places that sort of moment of vulnerability, which is often in a ballad, it like represents the highs and lows of life, right? Like, like life is a journey, and you're gonna be super happy one day, super charged one day, super angry one day, and then when this ballad like comes at the right time in that arc, it just hits different. Yeah,
I agree. And I think another thing that was maybe challenging is sort of accepting that this project like lyrically feels a bit different to the stuff that I've done before. There's still some like, I mean, I'd like to think that there's definitely some like wit in there and stuff like that, but lyrically it's maybe a bit less like direct and like explanatory and straight down, like forward, like you always know what you're talking about, like than my old stuff. And I think people really liked that about my previous work, so sort of just like battling with that a little bit in my head, being like, are people going to connect with this as much? Because it doesn't feel like a massive departure. Like I think you can definitely still feels like me. I mean, I wrote it, so like
of course, yeah.
But I think just don't try to like think about it from the fans' perspective. But then I kind of came to the conclusion of what I was telling you before, that like if I'm really gonna sit down and write something like purely based on like my feelings and experiences, then I kind of need to shut out that a little bit and just do it and see. And like if people resonated with it, they resonate with it, and hopefully people are more likely to resonate with it because I resonate with it so much. Like I kind of think if you don't believe in something, then you can't really expect everyone else to also believe in it. You have to back your project.
Of course,
So yeah, that's I'll be so interested to see how people receive it, but I think it's great.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful song on that record as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've got all the words today. Gave up searching, but you found them anyway. Always in my corner, bitter, sweetest form of torture. Yeah, I'll always be there for you. Keep my head above the water.
Before we check out that track, I finish all these interviews with the same question. Maybe it's going to be the lyrics that we point out for this one, but like I was telling you the story earlier, I listened to an album by a band I really like. Didn't hit it for me. I was really disappointed. I then heard an interview about the very specific song on the record, and the context and the nuances that were pointed out within the songwriting, within the lyrics, even like the chosen instrumentation, changed my perception of it forever, and it became my favourite song. So as our audience are about to listen to Pirates, is there any nuance or any specific element of the song you want them to listen out for that's going to change the way they experience it?
One of my favourite lyrics is "We're pirates sailing graveyard ships, boats and trains," and that sort of came from me and that person being like best friends, and sort of like an us against the world, and like maybe we're doing slightly the wrong thing, but we have that like camaraderie. Like that's where the pirates thing came from. And then graveyard shifts, boats and trains, that came from like we doing like work late at night, like always working the graveyard shift and like thinking about like songwriting. You're always like up late, just like in the studio, just like working while everyone else is asleep. And also like I like the imagery of the graveyard shift there as well, because like it's like the concept of the song and like the feeling of the song is something that was like keeping you up at night kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Boats and Trains is the title of a song by Stornoway, which is one of my favourite songs and a song that he introduced to me. And it's about like, I think it's about a long distance relationship, that song, but it's basically about like wanting to be with someone but you're not with them for a specific reason. And I just kind of loved how like the pirates and the boats and like it all sort of tied together, like feeling, I think the song like it kind of feels like a bit transportative and like getting those like methods of transport references in there is good. And my other favourite lyric is I'm not sure if I've got all the words today, gave up searching but you found them anyway. And that, I think, with the context of like the person who it's about, it's just sort of like a double-edged, like finishing each other's sentences, like always knowing like how you're feeling.
It's a beautiful lyric.
Thank you. And in the recorded version, there's an outro that has like, I don't know if you can really tell that much, but it's basically made up of like loads of voice notes that we sent to each other.
Oh, amazing.
But you can't hear what they're saying. It's just like noise. But yeah, it's like all in there. It just feels like a very just a nice moment of just like, hey, whatever happens, we'll like be best friends and we've got this thing together. And let's just see where the ship takes us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sophie, thanks for joining us on The Hardest Part.
Thank you very much for having me.
Call me, tell me, how was your day? Vauxhall Bridge to Cold Harbour Lane, where pirates sailing, graveyard ships, boats and trains. Lift me up till I levitate. Hold me down like a paperweight. We're timeless, maybe. Time will stop running away. 'Cause I've tried and tried to tell you what's on my mind, but I'm not sure if I've got all the words today. Gave up searching, but you found them anyway. Always in my corner, keep my head above the water. I'm not sure if I've got all the words today. Gave up searching, but you found them anyway. Always in my corner, bitter sweetest form of torture. Yeah, I'll always be there for you. Keep my head above the water.
Thanks to Sophie for coming on the show today. Make sure to subscribe and follow The Hardest Part wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all major streaming platforms at Spotify, YouTube, and of course Apple Podcasts. This episode of The Hardest Part was recorded at the Thin White Duke Studios in London's Soho. It was recorded by Max Walker and it's mixed and produced by myself. Photos from today's session are by Callum Baker and additional videography is by Giovanni Alamonti. Thanks for tuning in.